Sup guys, it's your boy Justin back with another anime review. I asked you guys on a poll what anime you guys wanted me to review for Halloween, and the choices were Devilman Crybaby, Season 1 of D. Gray Man, or Fate Stay Night. Originally, I was gonna put Fate Zero because I've never saw Fate Zero, and it's on Netflix. So I was gonna review. That Fate Zero was originally the choice, but I decided I'll put Fate Stay Night because just because. And you guys chose Fate Stay Night, even though on the previous live stream before that poll, I mentioned how much I hated this show, right? Or not hated the show, but thought the show was overrated. Which the Fate Stay Night, for people who don't know, is is supposed to be a supernatural battle royale anime, but it's actually a harem show that a high school harem show comedy that sometimes focuses on the B plot that's supposed to be the A plot, which is the battle royale, right? So the show is based off a visual novel game that came out in 2004, Fate Stay Night, which was released as an adult game. And boy, does the fact that the show is based off an adult game make a lot of sense on some of the reveals of this show. Which the premise of the show, I'll say the plot of the show is basically, every once in a while, mages or magi or magus as they're sometimes called. They come up with they go by so many names, right? The magus have what they call the Holy Grail Wars, where 7 magus are chosen from different mage bloodlines to fight for the Holy Grail, which is a magical item that appears and grants the wish of its winner, right? And the magus fight using not only their magic but their servants, which every magus summons a servant, which is an epic hero from either legend or history or fiction, apparently. Which I found which makes a lot, also makes some sense, right? And there are like 7 classes, right? The most common ones are Saber, Archer, Lancer, Caster, Berserker, Assassin, and Rider. I think that's all 7, right? And the wars are supposed to be monitored and ruled by a referee, which is appointed by the Council of Magi, right? So the main character of this show is Shiro Emiya, who's a high schooler who has a bit of a hero complex because he survived this cataclysmic explosion that killed his family, right? And he was rescued by his adopted father, right? Which was, I think his name was Kiryu Emiya, right? Who is the main character of Fate Zero, right? Which is Fate Zero is the prequel to Fate Stay Night, right? And yeah, so but his adopted father died, years later, right? And he inherits his father's mansion, right? And that's not all he inherits, but you have to watch the show to find out. And he despite not being part of a Magi bloodline, at least as far as we know, because the show is a lot like Lost, where they hint at mysteries, but they don't reveal them. You have to play the games to fucking find out, which is fucking annoying. Because there's like one of the twists, one of the mysteries in this show, right, is some of the secret identities of the servants, right? Because they're all epic heroes, and servants are not supposed to reveal their identity. If their identity gets revealed, they're supposed to fight to the death, right? That's one of the rules one of the rules of this deathmatch anime that constantly gets fucking broken, right? One of the many rules. But then that gets, swept away, right? So, yeah. So he's like a Magus too, but he only knows basic magic, right? And he ends up, being like getting caught up in the Magi War, the Holy Grail War, when he sees Tosaka, who is one of the hot, popular girls from school, fighting along with her servant Archer, who's one of the cooler servants in the show. Barely, I think once he uses his bow in the entire anime. He mostly fights with two short swords, right? He's like Legolas from was I gonna say Legend of Galactic Heroes? I meant to say Lord of the Rings. And he was fighting Lancer, right? Who's voiced by Tony Oliver from Robotech. Which, Dan Warren is also the show. He voiced Roy Fokker. By the way, the cast of this show is people from, you'll recognize from Naruto, Bleach, right? So, our main character gets caught up in the war and ends up getting killed, but getting saved by Tosaka. And it's revealed that he's actually one of the seven Magi, and with the help of his dad cheating, he rigged the draw so his son could inherit his old servant from the last Holy Grail Wars. Because, spoiler alert, Shiro's dad was a Magi, but I think he knew that, right? Sorry, Magus. And he summons Saber, which is this blonde girl with a French-looking maid outfit with armor and invisible sword, right? Which the entire time I'm watching this show, I'm thinking, I was trying to figure out her identity. I kept because I watched the show not knowing, right? Without looking too much into the show, because I wanted to half the fun in mystery shows is to find this shit out, right? And so the entire time I'm watching the show, I'm thinking, oh, she's gonna turn out to be Joan of Arc, right? Which would have made sense, right? Because I think she even has French braids in her fucking hair, right? But yeah, the show, constantly switches from, in the beginning at least. It's at the beginning it's mostly like a comedy harem show until the halfway point where it remembers, hey, this is supposed to be a battle royale anime, where you get to see more battles with the servants and the Magi, right? With the servants and the Magi. Magus, my bad. Right? Yeah, it's the thing where the show gets, it's very slow burn, right? I think you don't really see any action scenes until, the third episode, right? And then there's, huge, huge, lulls till the next battle, right? Because it's lot of our characters hanging around at Shiro's Shiro's place, explaining bullshit they already explained, which is, oh my god, so annoying. Right? So what before I go into spoilers, what would I rate this show? Right? Which I usually do that at the end of the review. But basically, I'll get into what I like about the show, what I don't like, and why I felt like, the show. Well, I once a year I used to do a thing where I would pick an anime to watch for the Halloween season, right? And years I did like the first JoJo because vampires and zombies are in that show. Hellsing, the original, obviously, and then the 1 year I picked this because the show has this because all the battles mostly take place at night, and it has this haunting, mystical theme song that plays throughout the show, right, during the battles and the end credits before the preview. Well, it plays during the preview, my bad. Sorry. And it's just it just has this magical, nostalgic, haunting feel to it. And there's zombies and the show is dark at times, and there's gore, right? But the best part of the show, I would say, it's the plot. It has a really cool plot. The character designs, I'm not talking about the faces, because one of my dislikes is the art style. The faces all look the same. It's very generic anime. But the character designs for the servants look great. Most of them. Archer's costume and weapon design looks great. Lancer and his gay bulge, which is a spear, they look great. Most of the servants the character art design looks great. And I felt like the world was the world design was fleshed out. And the music, I'm not talking about the opening and the ending, but the music I thought was good. Right? Now we're going to go in my dislikes. Dislike 1, like I said, the face design, the faces are generic. But that's more of a nitpick. Two, it's the thing where there's a lot of shit that. Okay, we're gonna have to go into the spoilers. Okay, so one of Archer, they never tell you who Archer is, right? They never tell you who Archer is, and I watched the review for the Fate Stay Night game, and it turns out, Archer, who was a very badass character, who would constantly give, Shiro Emiya shit for his, hero complex, wanting to save everybody, right? And not wanting to kill everybody. Which, one thing I like about the show is, Shiro, that's also a dislike, because Shiro has, he's very principled. He's like, oh, I'm gonna stick to the hero's path. A lot of his principles he throws out the window, right? Once he falls in love with Saber, right? Once he falls in love with Saber, he fucking does not give a shit about not killing people, saving people, because it's not just the servants that get the Magus that get the wish if they win the Holy Grail War. The servant gets a wish too, right? And she wants to go back in time and fix the wrongs that she fucked up, right? And she wants to basically save her country, right? And which made me also think, that she was Joan of Arc, which turns, spoiler alert, she's not, but we're gonna get into that, right? She's not, but we're gonna get into that. So he throws that all away once he falls in love with Saber. So it's at first it's character growth, but really no, he just throws all of his principles away as soon as he falls in love with the girl, right? So that's a fucking dislike. But yeah, the other dislike is you never find out Archer's true identity, And then I watched the fucking game review, and it turns out Archer is fucking Shiro from the fucking future. What the fuck, man? They don't look nothing alike, and they have different voice actors. It's like, what the fuck? And another what the fuck, the big what the fuck that made me hate the show is, spoiler alert, Saber. And this is where you start to tell, oh, this is based off a fucking porn visual novel, is that Saber is actually King Arthur. I shit you fucking not. I shit you fucking not. Right? King Arthur. Joan of Arc, fuck that. And like the reason why they fucking did that, because like, oh, they probably, not just for the porn fucking game reasons, but because, oh, King Arthur has, like, Excalibur, right? Which there's another fucking, they fight another epic hero called Gilgamesh, right? Who has, who during one of the fights with Sabers, right? With Saber, who's Arturia, right? Draws out a sword because he collects, like, he collects legendary weapons, right? And he pulls out the sword that's supposed to be the original base of the original. I forget what the sword's called, but it was apparently it inspired the Excalibur mythos. So it's like, even in the show, they say like the Excalibur and King Arthur was fucking fake. So it's like, that explains why. In a way, they explain away why like King Arthur, our Saber, who's a girl, is King Arthur, right? It's fucking such fucking bullshit. Other problems, right? They have this epic fight against, epic fight. They have this epic confrontation where, like, Shiro, Saber, and Tosaka have to fight Caster and her master, right? Who's this martial artist teacher guy, who are trying to break the rules of the fucking Holy Grail Wars to summon the Holy Grail early by sacrificing everybody in, like, the city, right? For some reason, they never. Well, we know why they don't go to the referee, because he turns out to be planning the same thing at the finale of the show, right? But like, they never once did they go to the referee saying, hey, like, this fucking person's cheating. Nobody snitches on anybody else in the show when they're obviously cheating, right? And they're at the point where, like, they're fucked. They can't defeat Caster and her master, right? And so, like, who shows up to save the day, to stop the evil Caster and her master from, sacrificing everybody and saving the Holy Grail? Gilgamesh shows up, who is, like, the final bad guy of the show. So, like, one of the villains. This is the only time I've ever seen a show where a villain shows up to save our heroes, right? To save our heroes and defeat the bad guy. I'm sure it probably has happened before, but it was like, allies of convenience or whatever bullshit. But it's like, holy fuck, dude! Like, that totally killed, the tension and the arc of the show, right? That was such bullshit. And then there was also the thing where, like, you had, like, a master with two servants, right? Which, two servants, right? Because like, they killed like one Lancer's fucking Caster killed, apparently, because Caster's a Magus. She can fight in the Holy Grail Wars by herself if she wants to. So she killed her own master and then summons Lancer, right? Which is like, what the fuck? And then okay, that was cool. You have like two servants working with one master, and then it's like, oh yeah, they copied that again with Lancer and Archer from the previous Holy Grail War working with fodder. I forget his name. Kanamane? I don't. Kamini? I don't remember. Right. So it's like, what the fuck? That and one of the characters of the show is a little girl, right? I don't want to say it, but oh fuck it, I'll say it. She's basically one of the romance choices of the fucking porn game was LOLI character, and she, right? So it's like, what the fuck? That's fucked up. And what it's even more fucked up, she joins the main character's harem at the end of the show. Well, halfway through the show or whatever. After, like, you know, after King Arthur and female King Arthur and Shiro defeat her fucking servant, which is Hercules, who's Noble Phantasm, which is like a special like ability / attack, right? It's different for the different servants, right? Some of their Noble Phantasms is a special attack, some of them is a special ability, some of them is even a weapon, right? And Hercules' Noble Phantasm, which he was Berserker, he has 12 lives, and they were shit. And King Arthur and Shiro, using a special attack, was able to wipe out he had like 7 lives left, all in one attack, which is fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit. All right. That was fucking dumb. They could have come up with a better explanation, like maybe his regenerative curse or whatever spell is based off his whatever remaining MP or whatever mana. So they could have made, oh, maybe the special attack absorbs the mana or some fucking thing, right? Like, didn't Naruto have a special attack that would attack a person's chakra? You know, they could have done that for Excalibur or whatever. Yeah, that was fucking dumb. I'm trying to think of other dislikes I had for this show. I don't really have. That's about it. So I think we have 5 dislikes and 3 likes. So I think 2 of those were nitpicks, right? 2 of those were nitpicks, like, you know, them copying the two servants per master thing. That was a nitpick. And what was the other nitpick? I guess the bad faces. So we'll say 3 dislikes, 3 likes, and 3 dislikes. And how the ratings work on this show: you start at 5 per like, add 1 per dislike, -1. So that evens out to a 5 out of 10. If this is one of those shows where, if you don't mind slow burns and people constantly repeating themselves and constantly stating the obvious, it's like, oh, that's another problem with this show is the dialogue is fucking terrible at times. Like during the Archer versus Lancer fight, Tosaka says Archer's class name out loud right in front of Lancer, and he's like, I get it, your servant is part of the Archer class. I could tell by the way he fights and why he prefers to fight from a distance, even though he never fought with a bow. He was always fighting with 2 short swords, right? And she's like, how very astute of you. Very clever. It's like, you said it right in front of him, you stupid bitch! And there's lots of examples of that, right? Where people state the obvious, and then the other person states the fucking thing in front of the other guy, and the other guy acts like he figured it out on his own, right? Like like when Lancer turns on Gilgamesh and the fodder guy, because they're planning on sacrificing they're planning on sacrificing a girl, right? And Lance and they're killing a bunch of people, right? To summon the Holy Grail, which apparently every time the Holy Grail grants a wish, it kills a shitload of people, right? So it's like, and these Holy Grail wars still go on, right? But yeah, Lancer didn't know that and turns on them and goes to fight them, right? And then Archer's Gilgamesh, who's one of the most powerful epic heroes, right? People don't know what Gilgamesh's background is. Gilgamesh was apparently a historical figure. He's one of the oldest fucking heroes / god kings ever, and apparently he lived for over 400 years, right? 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 years ago. I don't fucking know, right? And Gilgamesh wants to fight Archer, so he was saying oh yeah, it's a good thing, Lancer, you betrayed us, because I was gonna kill you anyway. I was gonna make an excuse to kill you anyway, because I want to save Saber for last, right? And he's like, you bastard, you were planning this from the start. It's like, he just fucking said he was fucking. It's like lots of that fucking bullshit. I'm sorry, that was a pretty bad Tony Oliver impersonation. I tried to do the voices. But yeah, there's lots. It's the thing where the show is, if you turn your brain off and you just watch it as it is, right? It's not a bad show, and there's a reason why people love this show, and then there's a reason why, even though I shit on this show, I'm still gonna play the game afterwards, because I like the character designs, right? Which there's 2 RPGs for the Fate franchise. There's Fate Extra, which is a turn-based RPG for the PSP, right? And then there's the Muso clone, which is like a Dynasty Warriors ripoff of where you can play as the different servants fighting faceless enemies, right? So I'm probably gonna play the PS4 game. I still don't have the Fate Extra. Yeah, so 5 out of 5, but if you turn your brain off, the show is decent, right? And I think I already stated why I think the show is Halloween. You could watch it for Halloween because it's fucking mages going around killing each other, and there's zombies, there's blood sacrifice, there's witches, and very mystical soundtrack and night battles. So yeah. So that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry it's so long, but it is what it is. Peace.